His Excellency Mr. and Mrs. Suklal, distinguished speakers, delegates, brothers and sisters, bhai aur behno, namaskar. Allow me to firstly thank the organizers, Pooja and Vivek, for giving me this opportunity to be here in Varanasi, to speak with you all, to speak on literature, to speak on arts, the importance of arts, and bring a different flavor to it as a representative of Guyana. As someone who is from Guyana, but also as someone who is a son of this soil. I've always told my colleagues, my diplomatic colleagues, that Varanasi is my favorite city in all of India. For some reason, there's something timeless, ancient, unending about this city, and I think when you walk in the city, you feel it. Funnily enough, this morning was the first time in my life I actually went on Google Maps to check where my foreparents' city is. I always knew the place, and I always knew there are many places called the same thing, so you may not even know. But I checked, and it's in Jaunpur, which is just 1 hour away. And High Commissioner Suklal was very happy that he could be able to travel to his home, but I'm very happy that I'm just 1 hour away from where my great-grandmother would have come from 150 years ago. So it gives me great pleasure, to realize that, and this festival has helped me do that. So that alone is. So, in order to bring Guyana and the wider Caribbean and Grenada countries into this conversation of literature, of arts, it's important. Well, I think I would like you to permit me to tell you a bit about myself. I think stories are always important. Literature is about stories. Stories are always important. That's what you remember, stories. So, I'm a 5th generation person of Indian origin. My father was the first one to come back to India after the ones who first came, but he spent 2 months here in India. And when he learned that I would be working here as a diplomat, and when he learned last night, that I will be in Varanasi, and he always tells me is that I'm truly blessed to be in that opportunity to come back to India, to live in India. So, who am I? I grew up eating Bagan, Chokha, and Roti for breakfast, and going to Mandirs on most Sundays. Sundays, of course, the mix of the British culture of Sunday being the day of God. So in Guyana, we go every Sunday to Mandir. So every Sunday, I'll go to Mandir. I grew up with Bhajans on the TV in the morning, with chautal for Pagwa, with firecrackers for Diwali. And of course, this is not unique to me being a Hindu, an Indo-Guyanese Hindu, but it's something that we've shared with all the Guyanese in Guyana. So for Holi, for Pagwa, for Diwali, you will see African, Indian, Muslim, Christian, it doesn't matter who, this culture that our foreparents, that my foreparents have brought from Guyana, has brought so many people together, such that it is now a staple in their lives. They don't feel good unless they have 7 curry for a puja. We call it 7 curry. Mauritius, they call it 7 curry too, but it's a puri leaf with rice, dal, kathal, sab kuch hai, but 7 curry. So this is a staple of Guyanese life, and it's a part of the legacy that we have taken and shared with the wider Caribbean community. This is to show you that how similar our cultures are. I said this all to say how similar our cultures are, but also to highlight how different it is and how it's evolved over the years. Some of you may know about Chutney music. Does anyone know about Chutney music? Okay. Pulauri bina chutney, kaise bani? You know that? Okay. So yes, it's a unique flavor. It brings this Bhojpuri spirit, this Bhojpuri beats with Caribbean imagery, Caribbean life, and it's so rich. It's so rich. But of course, well, that in addition to Bollywood songs, in every wedding, in every function, there's Bollywood songs. On the radio station, there's Bollywood songs. But the unfortunate thing is, we don't understand one word of what it means. But we sing it, we love it, we dance to it. It moves us, from the bhajans to the songs at funerals, to the songs for birthdays, songs for festivals. They move us. And this is the importance of literature. This is the importance of art. And this speaks to how important literature is, because even if you don't understand the words, these things can mean so much, can make such a difference in how we conduct our lives, how we live our lives, how Guyanese have lived and continue to live in such a profound way. I'll tell you another thing. Just a few things about me, the power of the song. As a kid, well, now I know my Aaji, every morning, well, now we know there's YouTube, everything's accessible. Every morning she listens to Kathas, Ramayan songs. And religiously she listens to it. She may not understand, but this is her devotion. This is her life, her routine, and this is passed down from her mother to her, from her mother, and from her mother's mother. I grew up listening to my Aaji listens to Ramayan in the morning. My Nani sang Krishna Bhajans for us to sleep at night. These speak to the importance of songs, of music in Guyanese life, in my life, so that you can understand. My grandparents were not philosophers. Many people, they're not philosophers. They don't come and tell you about how to live life or excerpts from the Bhagavad Gita or anything like that. They use song. They pass down their devotion, their simplicity through song, through stories that the songs were told about. And this is the generational gift that has come down from India. So even Indian High Commissioners, people who are at the High Commission of India in Guyana, they always remark that people in Guyana have preserved the culture more. They always say the people in Guyana preserve the culture more than people in India have. That's something that they've said. But I think it's more akin to what one of the previous speakers said, is that in the villages of Guyana, in the villages of India, that's where the culture is really strong. When you go to the cities, the big cities, that's where maybe you find dilution, you find mixing, you find a lot of loss. But it's in the villages that we find everyone showing up for a wedding. Next year is my sister's wedding, and she is learning about the amount of people that will come. She's planning for, say, 500, but she's learning from different people who are not invited that they will be coming to the wedding. So it'll end up being more, maybe 1,000 people. But that's Guyana. That's our village culture, and that's India's village culture too. So while the culture is strong, while we still have our weddings, our songs, our devotionals, there's still a lot of work that we can do. There's still a lot of strengthening that we can do to bridge the gap. Mostly in terms of language, also people-to-people ties, people traveling to Guyana, people traveling to the Caribbean, and extending your expertise, whether it's in literature, song, or stories, and sharing it and connecting it with Guyana, with Trinidad, with Fiji. So any person who is interested and devoted in these kind of fields, I welcome you. I stand open to welcome you to Guyana. And there's no shortage of Mandirs or schools or organizations that will welcome you, that will accommodate you in facilitating this transfer of knowledge, of bridging this divide. the question of my talk officially should be something about how do we preserve our roots. A lot of people are talking about roots, but I think the tree analogy is correct. We are roots. We have our roots. Our roots are in India. Our roots are in the Puranas, the Itihas, the stories of old times. But we're also branches. We're also expressions of that culture. Guyana is a branch far away across the world in the Caribbean at the top of South America. You wouldn't believe that there are hundreds of Mandirs in Guyana in South America, but there are. In Trinidad, in Suriname, this exists, this is here. So we are branches of that expression. But we are also the roots too. We are also the ones who champion the culture ourselves. Especially you who are interested in literature, who are interested in songs. Of course, the festival is about literature, but academia, to knowledge, to songs. This is both an expression of our culture and the root in that it connects the culture to the times of past and preserves it and sustains it. So, from my side, I'm blessed to have been back in India. I'm blessed to have had the opportunity, as my father said, to live in India. And I know, based on this blessing that I have to live in India, that it is one of my life's duty. It will be one of my life's duty to see myself become both a root and a branch, an expression of India, and also someone who carries forward this generational, this timeless wisdom, timeless through our songs, our culture, our history, our stories. And I suspect all of you here are yourselves, roots and branches, an expression of what was before, but you have the power to carry forward to the next generation. And in that moment, I just wish to conclude, by asking one question. One question that has been on my mind. I studied philosophy in university, so in a Western university, and it was not as appealing as say, my studies in India. But the question is, why is it that some of our greatest works, why is it that the two of our greatest works, the two of our greatest itihas, our greatest stories, the Ramayan and the Mahabharata, why are they set in a context of a fight, of a war, of a conflict? Why? And permit me, I'm not a literature person, but you give me some leverage, but I'll leave it to you. Why is it that this is so? What is the symbolism about this fight? I can only conjecture to say that, the greatest expressions of life are found in this fight for righteousness. The greatest expressions of godliness are found in this fight for righteousness, in this struggle for righteousness. The symbolism of the fight is representative of urgency, of proactivity, of not living lackadaisically and living just, to say pousre in Guyana, but I don't know if you understand that here. Just letting whatever be. You must be proactive. You must live and struggle for righteousness, for dharma. So maybe this is why, and I conclude, maybe this is why my foreparents brought nothing but the clothes on their back, the bhajans on their tongues, and ram in their mind. And why they were able to succeed and thrive after many generations is because they had this urgency, they had this fight to preserve their dharma. In spite of all the horrible madness they found themselves in. And maybe this is why Pooja and Vivek, in spite of the naysayers or whoever said bad, it took a bit of madness, it took a bit of fight, and they were able to bring us all together here to talk about something important, to discuss, to dialogue, and to see how we can become these living branches that carry forward expressions of our timeless past, our timeless itihas. So with those words, I thank you for your attention, and thank you for this time.